pedal setup.
Okay.
That was the only one with a clutch pedal off our shelf anywhere.
And there's some that were in the Jeeps, but there was none pulled?
No.
Okay.
I already got it out. So
Okay, and just look at that one to make sure that it's not worn out anywhere. Some little pins sometimes wear out in them.
Yes, sir.
I told them to inspect it. I know they're usually not like that, but it's always good to check. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks, buddy. All right, guys, this is probably going to be my last frame for the night. I've been moving and shaking. Of course, the only day that I had low call volume, which is sometimes a good thing, it lets me catch up, was the day having snow out here, which you don't get a lot of snow. We're in the high mountain desert, and it obviously didn't last. I mean, it doesn't really. It's so warm out here. So we got mud everywhere. One of my least favorite things. So anyway, this was, I've had a lot of calls on frames this week. I kind of just half-assed put up a general video the last couple days and tried to push people that way, and it's never works. I mean, sometimes it does, especially if we're on just an absolute time crunch, which we kind of are, but almost everybody wanted to see the frame cleaned up, and I understand that. So 100% totally fine. This is no different. This is a gorgeous frame. All the paint that you see on it is factory paint back from the 80s or 90s, whenever this one was. So it's a 4-cylinder frame. You can use it on a 6-cylinder. They're identical except for where the mount locations for these engines are. And then these guys here are a total pain in my butt because they're hard. It's hard making this frame hard to flip over. So I probably will remove these unless somebody wants them. The only thing is if somebody does want them, right now they're tacked on to the side and they were a bolt-on set. You can bolt or tag them. In this case, somebody probably just wanted an extra little reinforcement. If I don't get any else going on this load and I can center this frame, normally we have 2 stacks on the back, I can leave these OB, and if you want them, you're more than welcome to them. The pads have come off. That one's about to come off. The other one is floating around over there. So do know that the step pads are there. If you don't mind letting us cut them off, you don't care, you don't want them. And they're in good shape. They're not rusty at all. So, but it just, there's almost no way if I get 2 stacks, it's just going to make this too wide. So, but if you do want them, you can have them and I can clean them. I can lop them off cleanly. And then, like I said, the pads are different. I don't know if you can buy those or not. So, okay. I know that's not why you're here, but it's just a freebie. Sometimes we have freebie and that's kind of stuff we'd scrap anyway. So, okay. So is it a 4-cylinder 2.5? It'll work from 87 to 95. They're all the same. It is absolutely beautiful. And there's really nothing on it. I like to always show my frames with videos so you can see it. I also photo them. There's not a lot of photos, but there's usually 10 or 12 we have out on our site. So, and you'll be able to do that. Now, all of our frames get listed individually. It does make it very difficult to run a business that way because you don't have like a continuous stock. And we could run them that way, but I always felt like, it's a big item, it's a big purchase. I want somebody to see exactly what they're getting, not a representation of what they're getting. On engine brackets, we do it that way because it's not it's not really, one bracket really doesn't differentiate from the other. But on something like this, I want you to see exactly what you're getting. And I like to show you, I know most of our customers are in the Midwest, East Coast. Even though you are far away, you're not at a disadvantage. You can look at our products out here, our Jeep parts out here, as if you're standing here next to me. So we have 7 acres. We're known. I feel like we're known. I don't know if that's true or not, or just in my head, but I feel like we're known. We're one of the largest Jeep parts yards that's rust-free. So that's something to be said. I've been in the Midwest and East Coast. I deliver out there probably on average 2 or 3 times a year. And then we run a hot shot crew in our busy season, which is right now, usually once a month. So, and when I go out, which is I'll be going out here shortly, here a couple days, I'm going to take this time Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, maybe drop down into Tennessee. I have something to do down there. Some swapping that we're doing, and then back through, if we do go that way, Missouri and Kansas, Oklahoma possibly. So, but I'm on a time crunch. My wife's birthday is on March 11th, so I really am trying to make this trip quick. I will be leaving in a couple days. I was going tomorrow, but we're working on a big project. We're delivering a build we did for a customer, and I don't want to push Jerry. He's close, but he's not that close. So here, that gives me a little bit more time. That's part of the reason I went out and did this today. So, anyway, what else? Oh, I know what I was going to say. Yeah, so I've been in big yards before for Jeeps. I mean, there's some in the Midwest, East Coast that are, they're massive. They're not just Jeeps, but they have a lot of Jeeps in them, acres upon acres. And but the theme is it's rusty out there, and the Jeep product they sell is mainly rusty because that's what comes in their door mainly. So we don't buy anything out of, I trust me, I look at Copart, IAA, I don't buy a lot of those auctions anyway because almost all of ours come off the road. But I see Jeeps that are like, buy it now, $600 for a TJ, and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. But then I remember, and I've bought that before, that's actually how I started. And then I realized very quickly that you almost get nothing out of them, minus maybe an engine, wiring harness, everything else is junk. And then the fees, it just doesn't make any sense. Plus, they're super hard to part as is, let alone a rusty one. So we steer clear of that. We stay in western Colorado, and then further west, Nevada, southern Utah, Arizona, and then non-coastal areas of California. And that's where almost all of our Jeeps come out of, all of our parts. And they're getting hard to find, so we keep, trying to up our sources to find them out of. Unfortunately, the years go by. CJs are nearly impossible to get anything on anymore. We do get them, in various states. I almost buy those in any shape just because they're so freaking hard to get. Okay, so anyway, I know you're here for this frame. If this frame sells, for anybody who's looking for a 4-cylinder, I have a stack of these. I'm down to, this is our fourth. There's technically a 4 in stock. This is the cleanest one I have. I have one more that's probably still an A, but maybe not as pretty as this one. And then the other ones I'd say are Bs. They're what I consider modified. They had bumpers welded to them and not easily taken off bumpers, very heavy ones. Not bad necessarily as a purchase, and would definitely knock off a little bit for them, but not easy to pick up. Let's just put it that way. I've had that one for a while. So if you're wanting to get a little bit cheaper on them and still want a fairly clean frame, that would probably be the one I'd go with. I'm not going to have that one videoed, unfortunately, unless somebody calls and says, hey, sign me up for that one, even though I haven't seen it yet. The video I did yesterday does show it. It doesn't show it real well like this, of course, but it does briefly go over it. And I would just say on that note, call. It'd have to be by tomorrow. So I'm going to be loading tomorrow. I can wash tomorrow. I actually plan on washing a little bit, so we can definitely get it done. And that's it, right? So you can get this one or that one as far as 4-cylinder ones. Now, 6-cylinder frames, I only listed a modified one earlier today. I have actually a decent amount of 6-cylinder frames. I think we have about 6. And of those, we'll probably have about 3 really clean ones. And then the rest of them are going to be Bs, and then maybe some Cs. Now, Cs, you think all those will probably never sell because there's always something weird with those. Surprisingly, part of the reason is we sell those for so little. I don't like buying them when there are, like that one's got a little bit of rust in the rear. Real minor, but it just a little bit, and it's a 6-cylinder. And when they're rusty like that, half the time I hack them up, sell what we can off of them, or find somebody that really is dealing with something like, I kept this YJ and I've had it for years. People always wonder why we have this thing in here. That's just one of the ones I got almost 15 years ago, and I bought it out of Ohio. You'd wonder, we have a crusher. Why don't we crush this thing? Because it really deserves to be crushed. But I leave it because our locals out here have no idea. When people from the Midwest, East Coast talk about rust, they have no idea. They think they're like, like you get a little bit of scaling maybe in these pockets. And these are actually really clean, but they think that's rust. They've never seen. So like that one there is completely toast. It's toast in the front, it's toast in the rear, it's toast in the mid. Everything is broken on that frame. There's nothing you could save on it. You couldn't cap it, you couldn't weld it back. There's no way to save that frame. In that case, if somebody had that or bought it or was deceived, and it happens all the time, people buy Jeeps and, they're told, oh, it's, no rust. And then they get it shipped to them and it's blown out. And those are like I hate to say mercy frames, but that's still 95% rust-free frame. It's a 6-cylinder, and it has a little bit of rust. And because it's got rust in the very, very back of that thing, that one's been scoped before, so I know where it is. But it knocks it down in half, literally. We get like 2,100 out of a 6-cylinder frame, grade A, and that one they're like $900,000 plus shipping. So it's a significant way if somebody's on a budget, and we're all on budgets at some point in our life. So no judgment there whatsoever. I do try to keep some low-grade frames around that are still workable. I'm not going to show that one right now. Like I said, I think I did show that one in that video yesterday. So if you're looking for an inexpensive frame on a 6-cylinder or a 4, there's probably at least one of those on a 6 and one of those on a 4 out there that we can definitely, that's still going to be a nice frame for you. And like I said, like 95%, you know, no issues. So otherwise, let's flip this thing over and quit blabbing. Okay, I will just slowly scan it like I always do. Again, not a lot to talk about, so I'm kind of just jibber jabbing now. This has got a little bit more wallowed out than actually it's pretty common for this to wallow out. There's 2 bushings that clamp down. A lot of times they all do it, even on clean frames. This one has nothing wrong there. This one does it the most, and it's because the radiator typically, the nose of these, since the fenders are really what's the only thing holding these down, a little bit of weight with your radiator core and whatnot. Usually if there's any vibration in your Jeep, it's at the front. And if these ever get loose, and they do from time to time, especially when these bushings, they kind of look like, there's one there, kind of give out on them, then you have the metal sleeve and it just kind of wiggles around and wears them out. So, but it's, you know, I wouldn't necessarily do much to that one. You could add a couple big washers and fix it if you wanted to. Add a little material. You can even cut one off and re-weld if you wanted to. It's not that bad. I just like to show it. Like I said, I want you to see it as if when it shows up. So, and I'm going to lose my light if I keep messing around, not doing it, because it is literally probably about 5:30 at night out here in Rocky Mountain. I keep saying Rocky Mountain time zone. We're not Rocky, it's Mountain time zone. Okay, so, but you can see this area here too. When I washed it, the paint came off, so it's bare metal there. But I mean, bare metal or paint, whatever, but they're beautiful. And all the mounts, again, the rest of them, there's 10 mounts on the back side that go to your tub, and then it makes 11 with your radiator support up there. Okay, and then you're back. Now, I'm gonna flip this guy over and I'll keep talking until I lose light. This is why I hate these Nerf bars. Normally, these things are not very heavy, but they're pretty easy to flip over with one person. Those things make this whole process, what I'm about to do, a total pain. I already did it once, so I know how hard it is. And it's just because it adds a lot of height when I flip this guy over. Yes, they are not very heavy, and I would prefer not unloading these by hand, but sometimes that's what you gotta do, so. Oh man, wish I could show you. This thing is taller than I am, but it's good. Let's see. Be sore tomorrow. Only done that about 17 times a day. All right, so here's the bottom. Okay, nice clean where your leaf spring mounts go. Okay, track bar. This is where your sway bar goes. All right, clean motor mounts. They're beautiful. There's your rear perches. All right, and real quick, I do have a frame over there. I think it's a 6-cylinder frame. I'll have to look. It's not listed yet. That's been set up for a shackle reversal. Hands down, if you want the best way to improve a ride quality on a CJ or a YJ, anything with leaf springs, is to do a shackle reversal. I won't go into all that right now because it's not very lengthy, but it's a bit. So we have one that's already got that on, but it is a 6-cylinder one. But because it's a modified 6, even though it's probably grade A frame, it'll be discounted. We're an OEM original. We really like the original stuff. Yes, it's an improvement. It's even an upgrade to some, but because it's not original, it takes away that original value to us. So we drop the price down a little bit on that guy. So that one's there too, and I definitely could get that one done tomorrow. So, but look how clean this is. I mean, that's again factory paint. Just blows my mind when we pull these frames and they still, 30-year-old paint is still on the thing. It's just crazy. So not all of them, but for the most part, even our old CJ frames have. I put a CJ7 frame from like 82 up earlier. Gorgeous. One of the really nice ones we pulled. So anytime you see bolts back in them, we usually don't include these bolts. We do sell them, but we will screw them back in there because we want to show you that we've pulled them. You can see underneath, and they'll re-thread back in. And the reason I say re-thread, because a lot of times when you go to pull those, again, even on a nice frame, especially if somebody wails on it with an impact, you'll break them off, and then you got to drill the things out. So that shows you the pellet end's been pulled, and they're there. And again, we do sell those. Those are slightly different pitch. If you go to the hardware store and pick up one similar, you will have to rethread those holes, or it will rethread it when you do it, because it'll pull the threads on them. These are kind of, Jeep uses a unique pitch on them. So I noticed they've cut the springs. They cut the springs out of the rear on this thing. That's why the bolt heads are still in this. And that's as easy to get out. We just have to whack it off with a hammer. I don't think the guys did it. So, and that's super common. If you haven't pulled this thing apart yet, you're doing this project, wondering what you're gonna entail, I'll tell you the hardest thing about a YJ is getting the dang leaf springs off. And usually it's these fixed mount points. The rear ones and the front ones, depending if you have shack reversal, if it's original, they come off usually pretty easy, and they have a clamp style, so you can pull those. It's those buggers that are hard to get off. And usually I tell people, heat them first. And then if you mess with them too long, just cut them. We'll fight. You can get, I've seen guys spend all day trying to save the bolt and the bushing, and you'll still end up having to cut it. So, okay. And yes, you can get new bushings for your springs. They're kind of a pain to press out, but they are doable. And then you can also get new, and we sell that stuff. We have at vendors and everything. So I can get you everything you need. So one last thing, I haven't really talked about this in any of my other videos I put up today, but I'm going to say it in this video, is that we don't have a lot of tubs left on YJs. They're getting as hard as to get as a CJ frame. We definitely have some TJ frames. It's kind of the opposite on TJ tubs. It's the opposite on TJ frames. We have very little of those. Those sell out very quickly. But in addition to this, and it's kind of like those pan bolts there, we do have a few really nice cross members, and those are usually pretty raggedy, especially if you're in the Midwest, East Coast. So I can get you one of those. We sell those, and we can add the gas tank skid in. Whether you have you just have to let us know. We can get you pricing on them, but there's a early and a late for the poly tanks. That's the plastic tanks. And then there's a metal tank, and each one of them has slightly different, but some of them will interchange on the other. And then other things you may need that, I'm telling you items that will cost a lot to ship down the road. We do ship them, but they're paying to ship. Fenders, we ship them, but they're paying to ship, okay? And they're about $100 to ship a piece. So anything we ship with these frames when we send them is included, other than the price of whatever the part is. And usually if you get enough in there, we start getting you a bulk price discount. So especially when it comes to tubs and frame cells, I don't know if I have any tubs. I don't want to preemptively say, I have tubs, they just not pulled, and I don't know if I can get one pulled in time. But I sure try like heck if somebody out there wants one before I leave. Otherwise, we'll get these off eventually. There's probably 2 or 3 grade A tubs left, and then I have a variety of Bs, and then not a lot of Cs. Like I said, I try to stay away from that kind of stuff, and especially on the tubs. So, but I got to take photos of this thing to get the listing up tonight and then get it skewed. So I'm going to cut the video off here. 303-666-9020. Just remember, 7 acres. Okay, all of the racking over there has all the hoods, the grills, the fenders, the windshield frames. Not a lot of those. Matter of fact, maybe only one of those in stock. Tailgates, seats, seat brackets, wheels. Again, axles are kind of, we're moving the yard around right now, but engines, harnesses, you name it, we have it. Okay, so the hood on a YJ, or the hood in general, any CJ, YJ, TJ, okay, they are hard to ship. If you need a hood at all, we will get you one. Okay, we'll get it on this order, or whatever order you end up with, because they are the one thing I will not ship unless it's a hot shot, because the freight companies, actually, there's 2 things. Doors are the same way. Freight companies are horrendous on hoods and horrendous on doors. So I don't have a lot of clean doors right now, but I do have 1 set left. I actually have 2, but I think one's about to sell in the morning. So, and then we have 1 really clean set of CJ doors, and those will work on YJs as well. All right, now I'm out of light. So 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. I get this thing uploaded. Our internet's a little slow, so be patient. And thanks. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you here soon.